So first of all, I'm really delighted to see you on this interview, and thank you for joining me today, Praise. I saw that Bloc is a fintech infrastructure company and is building the future for African fintech. Am I right? Like
Yes.
the general idea that everyone anywhere has access to financial services, and it's just wow. And maybe you can tell us a bit about Bloc and what do you do for the financial market, and what's your vision for the company?
Okay. So Bloc, like you said, is a fintech infrastructure company. I'll start with our vision, really. Our vision as a company is to build a robust infrastructure for fintechs and non-fintechs to have the ability to offer financial services to their customer base. So the entirety of Bloc is based on one core belief or one core mantra that every company will be a fintech company. So if you look at the timeline of technological advancement generally in life, at the beginning it was that every company was going to be an internet company at the beginning of the internet. Then it moved to every company is going to be a tech company. And now for Bloc, it is what we believe strongly in. And this is not a mantra that we own. It's a mantra that is general is really like everywhere. But for us, it's pretty strong that every company in some way to stay relevant in the next 5 to 10 years would have to be a fintech company. And what that necessarily means doesn't mean that all kind of companies will eradicate from the face of the earth. It basically means that each company would need to add a fintech component to their services to be able to offer better experiences to their customers, right? And for Bloc, our role in Africa is to kind of make that come true for African fintech businesses. So if I were to paint a scenario for you, what Bloc wants to do for any fintech company is, if you wake up today as an African business and say you want to build any fintech product, our goal, our eventual journey, the destination we want to get to is when you come to Bloc, you get everything you need to build your company, everything. And the only thing you have to just really think about is the entire infrastructure, back end, compliance, licenses, you get everything.
Nice.
And the only thing you have to think about is your front end, your brand, your marketing, go to market, the extra stuff. And you don't have to bother a lot about all the hassle that has to come with connecting to a central switch or trying to set up on the already existing fintech infrastructure in the market, right? So this is what Bloc really is doing for the fintech market. And maybe it's the future for African fintech, or maybe it should actually be the present situation. But the goal for us is to be that bridge between any fintech idea and its realization. And I guess the impact on the world would be powering financial inclusion at scale, right? You would understand that generally financial inclusion is pretty low. There is a far more percentage of underbanked and unbanked people, especially in the continent of Africa. And the only banks cannot actually help cover that gap. And the only way mankind has sort of like made progress in the sense of offering fintech, offering financial services to more people is through fintech, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what we're simply saying is you can be an 18-year-old founder who has almost no experience dealing with banking licenses and dealing with compliance and dealing with even with capital. You can be that 18-year-old young founder who all you have is just dreams. And with Bloc, you can actually get your saving startup, your digital bank startup, your lending startup.
Okay. That sounds interesting, and it sounds like a global plan for the mobilization of the market. And how do you actually ensure the results when you provide like everything in your services?
So, well, right now we are like basically focused on the Nigerian market, right? So future scale would gradually grow into African markets. So
Mhm.
really what we do is that we offer APIs, right, that allow you to do this stuff. Yeah.
And what significant changes do you see, like the following 2 years, maybe, on in African fintech field? What is changing? What is progressing?
Okay.
What perspectives do you see? Mhm.
Okay. I think that it's getting more adopted at a larger scale, right?
Mhm.
Most of the advancements we have made in offering financial services have really come from fintech innovations. One
Mhm.
of the biggest innovations would be agency banking, where um, instead of having complete institutions like a building where you walk into to get financial services, you can simply work to your neighbor on the next street and then perform those same financial services. Basic ones like withdrawals, deposits, transfers, bills payment, utilities, your electricity, water bills, cable TV. You can do all of those things from your neighbor next door, right? You don't
Mhm.
have to go to the bank anymore to actually kind of like
Yep.
handle stuff. I think that's been a major innovation, and it's getting it's like the new normal. It's basically right in the African tech space, fintech space. Um, I think that people are getting more audacious with the fintech solutions that they now create. 4 or 5 years ago, we had just payments, gradually just growing in this space. 5, 6 years ago, and now we have like a whole lot more. We have investment tech, we have insure tech, we have fintech, the main core fintech, we have savings, we have over 250 fintechs compared to when we have so much less earlier on. So I think that in the fintech space, customers are having more options to actually get stuff done. You want to save, you have access to about 3, 4 apps that can help you save. You
Mhm.
want want to invest, you have 3, 4 apps, and then yes, the entrance of cryptocurrency into the entire mix, makes it much more valuable generally to the bigger population. And I think another bigger trend I'm seeing non-tech companies like larger organizations like flour mills, retail supermarkets, and investment banks and microfinance banks are beginning to now leverage the opportunities that fintech offers them to improve their service offerings to their clients. So they are saying, yeah, we do ABC for you, but you can get extra if we offer you this technology in fintech, right?
Uh, and like, how did you find the product market fit? I understand that there's a pretty large amount things to do in Africa right now. But what obstacles did you face while you were building the product? What key challenges did you pass through?
Okay, so largely Bloc is, in a sense, we've been for like a while, right?
Mhm.
We used to process utilities for like the first 10 years. Um, we're like one of the pioneers for utilities and bill payments in the country. And really, that amount of time and experience in the industry has given us like a certain level of exposure to how it works. So one of the main challenges I would say we have as a company would be obviously talent, right? Getting the right talents to build the product. It's a talent market out here. We get to try and fight for the right talent. And
Mhm.
you're thinking, I need to get someone who is great at doing their job, and I need to get someone who is a culture fit. I need to get someone who can actually help me get this from point zero to point one. and it's a pretty big challenge. But somehow we tend to like overcome it. On the product market fit side, I think it's a ready market. Because fintechs are trying to improve their products every day. They're trying to offer more, and they're trying to like optimize their processes every day. How they get to do it is basically like broken and expensive. For what we basically offer, so one of the things we offer, one of the use cases that we offer is banking as a service. Basically, when you are able to offer banking related services to your customers, right? Like wallets, like card issuing, lending, and the likes of things. And when you go through the usual processes of partnering with banks, which are the obvious logical decisions, it could take weeks, months, even years to actually get something done. These processes are broken, and they are very, very, very cumbersome, bureaucracy and the likes. And it, it would, a startup that started in 2019 might not even get to having an MVP ready until 2021 or 2022. That's like a 3-year gap because of how cumbersome that process is. And generally, commercial banks are not really operationally equipped for that kind of partnership, right? Being able to combine that level of structure needed to offer fintech services alongside the messiness that every startup is where we really come in, right? We are like that perfect partner that says, yeah, we have infrastructure and it doesn't take you too long to get on board on our infrastructure. But at the same time, we also understand that your startup is you have a growing startup, or you have a startup at its growth stage, or you've been for a while and you have multi processes that you want to fix. We are saying that we're still the perfect partner for all of that, right? And like I said earlier on, fintech is exploding, like really exploding. If you saw the recent report, I think by Quartz, averagely between Nigeria, Egypt, Ghana, South Africa, they've raised about almost $1 billion in funding. So you'd see that even the investor VC market is seeing the amount of potential that could happen from a continent that is about 2-3 billion, 2 billion, yeah, 2 billion in size, in population size. And it's just logical that people need to access financial services, and more things are going to continue to grow in crypto, in payments, in managing financial services, savings, investments. And as they grow, they would need faster processes, they would need faster go-to-market times. And really, that's where Bloc comes in to ensure that they can get the idea from 0 to 1 quicker than the usual. For talent, it was pretty, we basically hired in-house, like for like 94% of the time. Our engineering team, our marketing team, our management team, operations, everyone was really hired
internally.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. So I mean, it took a while. But we got there eventually. And right now we're just, with what we have, we're like optimizing and trying to scale and release as many products as we can. I mean, this month we're releasing the beta stage of our virtual accounts product. It allows you to create e-wallet, online wallets, and virtual accounts in Nigeria. If what that means really is that you can now own a wallet system and offer people virtual account numbers that they can use to fund their wallets, basically. And it works for both personal banking and business banking. So that's what like currently we're looking to release this month. It's pretty an interesting time for us.
And do you plan to grow like in the nearest future?
Yes, definitely. We have big plans. Like I explained to you, our vision is not doesn't stop at Nigeria. It's basically like an Africa-wide mission. Right now, what we can do is allow fintechs in Nigeria launch faster. So in 5-10 years, we're thinking we want to help South African fintechs launch faster. We want to help Kenyan fintechs launch faster. We want to help Nairobi. We want to help Egypt. We want to help Ghanaians and the likes launch faster. So, and that is even regarding geographical growth. We also have product-based growth where we want to the idea is all you need to have is a fintech idea, and no matter how unique it is, we have the tools for you to build it with. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So obviously, we're also going to look to grow our infrastructure to cover more possible use cases, cryptocurrency, international transactions, and so on and so forth. Yeah, plans for those are pretty much there. I would say keep in touch with us and check in by June, and you'd see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. Let's talk about open banking connectivity a little bit. Don't you
Go ahead.
mind? Okay. What opportunities do open banking open to fintech startups from your point of view out there? Yeah.
Okay. Firstly, I was going to clarify that Bloc doesn't do open banking. Bloc does banking as a service. So
Yeah.
there's a tiny difference between the two of them, but then sometimes people use them interchangeably. So whenever you ask me open banking questions, I'll be answering it from the position of banking as a service. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so what opportunities do they open? I think firstly, it allows them to launch fastly to market and allows them to experiment faster. And allows them to pivot quicker. So one of the problems with startups is when you've invested so much money into your infrastructure and into your licenses. In Nigeria here, FinTech is licensed heavily. So when you invest so much money into licenses, compliance, and the likes of things, and then you end up seeing that your product just didn't work out. You don't have particular a great product market fit. Then it becomes sort of like a problem to sort of like pivot, because you're thinking, I spent so much money, I spent so much time and resources into building this product. It can't not be a fit, right? What banking as a service platforms actually offer these startups is the ability to test, experiment, and launch quicker than the speed of light, and and allows them to be able to say, okay, I tested that, this doesn't work, let me test it instead. Oh, does this work? No, it doesn't work, let me test ABC instead. And
Okay.
really helps them. Then when you think about the speed of go-to-market, it basically reduces it. It's a bullish market here. It's a crazy market. Everyone is servicing almost the same customer base. You want to ensure that you are ahead of your competition at every stage in time. And one of the biggest strategy to being ahead of the competition is speed, first movers advantage. And I think having solid, reliable banking as a service platforms offers that fintech startups.
And which markets do you currently work with?
Currently, Nigeria mostly. We service the entire Nigerian market currently. For now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay, and like there's 50 people, yeah, working in Bloc right now.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
54.
Yeah, 51 plus. Yeah.
Nice. And when you're going to grow, are you going to include some other markets to your like
Yeah, we
point?
definitely will.
Yeah.
Definitely. We'll
And
grow to, we'll
is it
definitely
a
include.
secret? What are your plans for the future?
Well, I could tell you that plans for the future.
But no.
Yeah, I could tell you that plans for the future is expanding to new markets and offering more dedicated, tailored services for fintechs and non-fintechs, right?
Mhm.
I could tell you that the future to paint would be thinking that 1 in 5 transactions would be run on the Bloc APIs platform, on the
Mhm.
Bloc platform. I could tell you that the future is that we would power any new young fintech startup that will come in within the next 3 to 5 years, and be the infrastructure for for the next big innovation in fintech. I could tell you that's our future, but that's the best I could tell you.
I'm wondering what key problems does the banking as a service face?
Okay,
Like in maybe this year, what like primary problems appear
Okay.
out there?
So two things majorly is going to be licensing and compliance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Most banking as a service startups probably do not have a banking license, which kind of makes us really different because we do have one. We own a banking license for Nigerian market and compliance really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, another this is not it's not much of a problem as it is a threat, which is very flexible regulations in the market. Regulations could change at any time. And so banking as a service, people who offer banking as a service have to constantly be on their toes to match up to those
Mm-hmm.
new conditions. And I think another problem to offering banking as a service, or the problems that we could foresee in banking as a service, is really improving the infrastructure, right? And that would take a level of talent, and then we're back to the problem of less talent or scarce talent to build this, to manage and build this infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's basically just it overall for me right now.
Okay, and do you see some trends like in banking as a service side? Maybe in 2022 there will be something special.
Banking service is pretty much just a use case.
Okay.
Really isn't like a strong API. It's just basically a combination of functionality that allows you to offer banking services, right? How I think it will be used would be, I think a major trend would be, it wouldn't be only fintechs that would offer banking as a service, but also non-fintechs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supermarket, other non um, financial institutions would also begin to offer banking as a service. A good case study would be a supermarket offering customers the ability to fund their unique supermarket wallet, pay with it, basically be a small bank for
Mm-hmm.
their customers. So the supermarket allows you to be able to fund your wallet, to pay with your wallet, to request for a loan on your wallet, to do overdrafts on your wallet, to get loyalty cards, to use loyalty cards to pay uniquely, basically like a small bank really, just for the supermarket, right? And I think that that's a trend that's going to really blow up this year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Fintech companies are going to want to explore more user experience opportunities with fintech banking as a service, to be precise, because it's the most accessible and the ones that make sense the most to use starting out. Yeah.
Well, like third party providers, they make connections fast and cheaper. But do you think that customers data is in safe? What makes it totally safe?
I'd say alongside the amount of data protection guidelines that we have, uh, firstly in the Nigerian market and really ingrained in the regulations that everything that has to abide to. Um, for our end, really one of the things we have that allows us to easily and confidently offer our services to our customers is our ISO 27001
Mm-hmm.
certification. Really allows, it certifies us as having complete, properly vetted systems to manage data appropriately. And then for payments data, we have a PCI DSS certification that really um, allows us, or that affords us that proof that shows that your payment data is properly encrypted, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And doesn't just stop there. It also tells you that your data is not just encrypted, but is also guarded jealously to ensure complete privacy on your part. And really, that's like what we've done so far to kind of help with data privacy. And really, for any banking service API company, it's like a mandate. It's mandatory for you really to actually have those things in place.
You told about the compliance, yeah, being compliant with the requirements when your bank as a service or a bank. But there are no compliance requirements from a customer perspective. They still need to permit their data to be shared by a bank. Their basic account information, regular scheduled payments, their income and transactions, account benefits, etc. Do you think that banks should educate consumers on how the additional features can benefit the way they manage their finances?
So largely, yes. But I guess firstly, the education has to come from how it works,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so yes, when you look at any typical API transaction, and there are like a bunch of parties constantly communicating with each other. I guess the first point of education should be to understand what exactly are they communicating about and what kind of information are they transferring and how is that information being transferred, right?
Yeah.
Quick example, if you are funding your wallet via a card payment gateway, your card information is definitely going to be shared across all the parties in that network, right? So understanding how it is shared doesn't mean sharing your card information doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is getting it, right?
Yeah.
They simply maybe approve or verify that transaction. Doesn't mean they have the information. It's definitely going to be encrypted, which is the essence for what I mentioned, IDSS compliance. It's definitely going to be encrypted, which means encryption means every other party who does not have legal access to your data wouldn't have it basically, and it's just going to stay. It's just going to help the system basically verify and ensure the proper flow of transaction from one point to another. Aside that, I really think that banking and service companies, infrastructure companies, fintech infrastructure companies, and fintechs generally should invest a little bit more in educating customers on how fintech works. But really, the goal is also to ensure that the customer experience doesn't need technical expertise, right? Like no customer should need to understand the API infrastructure to be able to use your product, but there should be an extra effort made in terms of education to explain to customers on as to how their data is being used, how their data is being transferred, or specifically how that data is being stored. Because it's definitely illegal to share payment information in the fintech space. Like it's clearly illegal. So yeah, customers can have that agency to understand how their data works. They'll have that knowledge at the tip of their finger. So maybe fintech should put in more effort in making that education. But definitely data isn't shared carelessly. Like literally it is safe at the barest minimum.
For the end of our interview, maybe you have some essential advice because you have a pile of experiences opening a business in the African field. Maybe you have some special, really vital advices for the newcomers in this sphere, in the fintech.
In fintech, first work with us, obviously, work with Bloc. If you're a fintech company coming to, especially if you're coming into Nigeria currently, work with Bloc for all your infrastructure needs. If you want to expand into the Nigeria market, work with Bloc. I think secondly would be to take time to understand the market. Fintech in Africa, Nigeria specifically, is very different from fintech in Europe. The regulations are different, the
Yeah.
requirements are different. Take time to understand the market, understand the people, understand if they need your product. For example, this is a very clear example. Banking, credit cards are not as popular in West Africa, for example, as they are Western world. So if you're coming in with a credit card as a credit card company, you want to be a little bit more strategic in how you communicate your message to the customers to ensure if they actually want it. What is the culture around debt and accumulating debt? Um, and how can you probably influence that culture or adapt to that culture? Or maybe can you offer buy now, pay later services? Like there's really a bunch of opportunities to kind of like explore. And you have to first sit down to understand that bullish market and say, these are the people I'm selling to, and this is how they think about what I'm selling, and this is how I can communicate it properly. And I think lastly, be humble enough to know when your product won't work and bow out respectfully. Um, Sometimes the product is ahead of its time, sometimes it's behind its time, and you have to be humble enough to recognize that your next generation fintech solution is not relevant in 2022, might be relevant in 2026, but not relevant right now. And you probably might not get the customers you're looking for. So I guess, yes, if that's basically like my general, from my knowledge, that's best I can say at the moment.